Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, thanks. And also let me know where y'all are watching from and at what time. I'm curious. They told me it was just camera duty. Hike out, swap the memory cards, log any damage, and come back. Easy money, they said. It's the deep woods, not a war zone, they said. Those guys had never stepped foot in Pine Reach Sector 9. It was my first week on assignment when the park dropped me off by chopper at an old ranger station no one had used in years. We're talking leaky roof, solar power that blinked more than it shined, and a bunk that had more spiders than springs. But hey, it beat a desk job, barely. First thing I noticed in the equipment shed was a yellowed checklist duct taped to the wall, not laminated, just taped there, like a warning nobody cared to make official. It read, "Trail camera rules. Follow them. 1. Animals without eyes are common. Don't follow them. 2. If a camera shows footage of your patrol before you arrived, burn the memory card. 3. You may sometimes find a camera recording from a height that doesn't seem reachable. Leave it. 4. Camera 15 doesn't exist. If you find it, don't touch it. Just walk away. 5. If an animal stares directly into the camera for longer than 5 minutes, note it and delete the video. 6. If any animals pass the same camera 3 times with reversed movement, stay indoors that night. 7. A pale figure may wave at the camera around 3 a.m. Delete the footage. 8. If a face appears in the trees in multiple places, stop reviewing and leave the forest immediately. I laughed, out loud. Real cute, Rick, I muttered, assuming my supervisor was hazing me. I even snapped a picture of the list and texted it to him with the caption, "Is Bigfoot unionized now or what?" No reply. The forest was heavy, not silent, just dense. The air didn't move right. My boots crunched through layers of pine needles as I trekked toward Camera 5. The map looked like someone spilled ink and called it a trail system, but I found it eventually. Camera 5 was fine, but the footage? Yeah, that was my first "I don't like this" moment. A black bear stood in frame, not moving, just staring. 5 minutes and 22 seconds of unblinking eye contact. And before you ask, yes, the timestamp was fine, and no, it wasn't dead. It blinked. Once. I stared at it for a while, half hypnotized. Then I remembered the rule. I deleted the video and jotted it down in the logbook, like a good little ranger. That night I was back at the station eating canned beans and regretting every life choice that led me here when I heard it. A soft knock on the wall. Not the door, the wall, just one knock. Then silence. I waited, flashlight ready, nobody. Not a footprint, but on the station's camera feed, a single bear stared directly into the lens. Again, 4 minutes and counting. The next morning I told myself it was just the wind. You know, the wind, that famous wall-knocking, camera-haunting forest breeze, whatever. I downed some instant coffee that tasted like campfire and chalk, shouldered my gear, and hiked toward camera number 8. The woods felt off that day, not like danger exactly. More like I'd walked into the middle of a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. Even the birds seemed to be watching. Camera number 8 sat on a pine tree so tall it might as well have been rooted in space. The odd thing? The footage it had recorded was from about 20 feet higher than the camera's mount. That's not possible. No ladders, no branches snapped, no drag marks, just a different angle from above. The footage showed the same clearing, but from above the treetops. You could even see the top of my hat from yesterday. It was time-stamped 3:03 a.m., and right in the corner, far back in the shadows near the tree line, something pale stood still, waving, slowly, stiffly. Now I've seen people wave. I've seen drunks, hitchhikers, even a guy once in a bear suit dancing at a campsite. But this wasn't a wave. This was a puppet with too many strings, moving like it had learned the gesture from a book. The checklist popped into my head like an unwanted pop quiz. A pale figure may wave at the camera around 3 a.m. Delete the footage. I stared at the monitor for a good minute. Then I deleted it. Because, let's be honest, I didn't want to know what happened at 3:04. I logged the incident in my book with a note that said, "Subject attempted friendly communication. I declined politely." Hey, if you're going to lose your mind, might as well do it with charm. On my way back, I stopped at camera number 4. The camera housing was intact, but the metal lockbox meant for memory cards had been pried open from the inside. No scratch marks, no tool damage, just open. Inside was a memory card, melted, blackened, like it had been torched with a blowtorch and then neatly placed back in. That's when my stomach twisted. This wasn't vandalism. This was a warning. Someone, or something, had burned the footage and returned it like, "No, you don't get to see this." I pocketed the card anyway. Dumb idea in retrospect, but I was curious. I was also an idiot. It's a dangerous combo. Back at the station, I locked the door early. I sat there chewing dry granola, flipping through the rule list again. I hadn't even been out here a full week, and already half of it was starting to make a sick kind of sense. That night, the motion alert pinged. The exterior camera picked up a deer. It stared straight into the lens for exactly 5 minutes. No blinking, no chewing. When it turned away, I swear it smirked. I woke up with a crick in my neck and an overwhelming desire to be literally anywhere else. A nice beach, a tax office, maybe prison, anywhere but this pine-smothered pocket of the forest where animals apparently had opinions and cameras like to play tricks on me. My goal that day was camera number 12, deep in the lower gorge. Steep hike, no real path. I had to slide down a hill like I was 10 years old again. My pants tore. I pretended not to notice. Camera number 12 looked fine. Battery strong, lens clean, no signs of tampering. I brought the footage back to the station and sat down to review it. The same red fox walked past the camera. Once heading right, then again right to left, then once more, this time backwards, literally moving in reverse. Even the tail flicked the wrong way. I stared. I checked the timestamp. All passes happened within 20 minutes. The rule, if any animals pass the same camera 3 times with reversed movement, stay indoors that night. I didn't hesitate. I locked the station doors, bolted the windows, and dragged a shelf in front of the entrance just in case. I also made a cup of the worst chamomile tea in human history and tried to pretend this was normal. At 2:37 a.m., the motion sensors lit up like Christmas. Someone, was walking past the exterior camera. I checked the live feed. It was back. The pale figure, same frame, same wave, same time, only this time it was closer. Not in the distance, not a suggestion of a shape. It stood 10 feet from the lens, waving slowly, as if testing me, or mocking me. The worst part? Its head was slightly tilted, as if trying to listen to something on my end. I deleted the footage, hands trembling. I didn't even log it. I didn't want to see those hollow arms again in writing. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach roll. The reflection on my monitor. I could see myself, right? Leaning forward, pale from screen glow. But my reflection wasn't quite matching my movements. I reached out. My reflection lagged, just slightly, and smiled. I turned off the monitor, slammed it shut. If that was some kind of prank, it was next level. But deep down, I knew better. Nothing about this was clever editing. Nothing about this was a joke. I sat with my back against the wall the rest of the night, holding the flare gun like it was going to help against whatever that was. No more knocks, no more movement. At sunrise, the birds returned, chirping like they hadn't missed a beat. Me? I hadn't blinked in 2 hours. But I survived the night. I followed the rule, and somehow that felt like passing a test I didn't know I was taking. By the time I reached camera number 6 the next day, I had already gone through a full thermos of lukewarm instant coffee, a pack of beef jerky, and about 12 internal arguments with myself about quitting and taking up goat farming in Wyoming. Camera number 6 was tucked in a rocky alcove near a dried-up creek bed. I'd only visited it once before, and even then I got the creeps. This time it felt like the trees were holding their breath. I pulled the memory card and hiked back to the station before even checking it. I didn't want to review it on site, not anymore. Back at my desk, I slid the card into the laptop. The footage started as usual, squirrels darting, branches shifting, forest doing forest things. Then I saw myself, walking past the camera, same backpack, same jacket, same stupid forest ranger patch with the coffee stain from day one. Except I hadn't been in that area yet, not this shift. Timestamp read 7:12 a.m. It was 6:48 a.m. when I pulled the card. I froze. My stomach clenched. This wasn't the usual creepy but maybe explainable stuff. This was impossible. The rule burned in my mind. If a camera shows footage of your patrol before you arrived, burn the memory card. Burn it. Not delete, not discard. Burn. I grabbed the fireproof metal bin I used for trash incineration and lit a flare under the memory card. The thing didn't melt. It cracked like ice, popped once, then turned black. Gone. I sat there in silence, the scent of scorched plastic making my eyes water. That's when I realized my hands were shaking. I needed air. I stepped outside, and that's when I saw it. Something small and slow moving just beyond the clearing near the edge of the tree line. At first I thought it was a raccoon. Then I noticed no eyes. None. 2 smooth indents where eyes should have been. The thing turned its head toward me anyway, like it knew where I stood. I stood still, so did it. We stared at each other. Well, I stared. It just kind of faced me. For a long 10 seconds. Then it turned and walked into the woods. The rule echoed, "Animals without eyes are common. Don't follow them." "Wasn't planning to," I muttered. I backed into the station, locked the door, and sat down, still clutching my walkie even though no one ever answered. I made a log entry. Saw my own patrol before it happened. Burned the card. Also, blind forest raccoons are apparently standard issue now. I tried to laugh. Didn't really stick. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time the trees shifted in the wind, I wondered if the version of me I saw in that footage was still walking around out there, just a few minutes ahead. By the 5th day, I had stopped pretending this was anything close to a normal job. There was no rationalizing anymore. Just me, a forest full of things that shouldn't be, and a growing suspicion that the cameras weren't just watching the woods. They were part of whatever was wrong with it. Camera number 2 sat at the base of a rocky incline near a patch of thick undergrowth. When I reached it, the air was still, not in a peaceful way, more like the woods were holding their breath again, like they knew I was there. The footage looked normal at first, a few deer, a bobcat padding by, silent and quick. Then in the far background I saw a shape. I leaned in. It was a face in the trees, not peeking out, part of the bark. Eyeless sockets, jagged smile etched into the wood grain like someone had used a dull knife. I paused the frame. Another face, different tree. Then a third, higher up, then more. Every few seconds, another one revealed itself. All different, all twisted. Some smiling, some frowning. One looked like it was screaming. Each tree had a face. Dozens. Rule number 8 burned into my memory. If a face appears in the trees in multiple places, stop reviewing and leave the forest. Immediately. I shut the laptop, yanked the memory card, and left it on the ground like it was radioactive. Didn't even bother logging it. I just turned and hiked, sprinted, back to the station. I didn't stop until my knees felt like hot jelly and my lungs were begging for a refund. I radioed base. To my shock, someone picked up. Rick, my supervisor, sounded calm, too calm. "Yeah, Mason, we saw the footage come through. Good job following protocol." "You saw it?" I asked, panting. "You review this stuff?" "Some of it," he said, "part of the job." "What the hell are those faces?" A long pause. "Not your concern. Your job is to follow the rules." That's when I noticed something in the reflection of the window above my workstation. Rick's face was on a small video screen in the corner, probably a delay from the satellite connection. In the reflection, he was staring straight ahead, not blinking. "Rick?" The reflection smiled. He didn't. I shut off the monitor and sat back, heart pounding. I was tired of questions, tired of rules that only made sense after you broke them once. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I sat at the edge of the station with the flare gun in one hand and the rule sheet in the other, reading it over and over. Every line felt less like a warning and more like a confession. And somewhere out there, camera number 2 was still recording, still watching. They gave me 2 days off, called it a mental health pause, though they didn't say the words out loud. I spent both days at the base station pretending everything was fine while the other rangers gave me the kind of side eyes usually reserved for people who talk to squirrels. I didn't tell them about the faces in the trees, or the eyeless raccoon, or the pale figure waving like it was in a low-budget infomercial. I thought about quitting. I really did. But something about the whole mess pulled at me, like I had already stepped too deep into a story I couldn't walk away from without reading the last page. So, of course, I went back to the station, back to the dense green silence of Pine Reach. The birds were chirping again, which should have been comforting. It wasn't. It felt like they were whispering behind my back. On my first patrol, I went to check on camera number 3, but something caught my eye on the way. A new camera. I almost walked past it. It was nailed high into a tree, way higher than I could reach, even if I stood on my pack. The casing was newer than the others, shinier, no label. I climbed up a nearby boulder to get a better look. That's when I saw it. A small silver number etched into the metal plate. 15. My stomach dropped. I hadn't touched it, not yet. I took one slow step closer. The moment my fingers brushed the bark below it, my radio crackled, loud, harsh. Then a voice garbled and sharp as a knife scraping bone. Don't. That was it, just the one word. I spun around. No one. My radio, by the way, still clipped to my belt, still powered off. The battery was sitting back on my desk at the station. I stared up at camera number 15 for another few seconds. Its lens glinted like it was looking back. Then I walked away. Didn't touch it, didn't log it, didn't speak a word. I made it back to the station before dusk, shaking harder than I'd like to admit. I told myself I was imagining things, that maybe I was dehydrated, that maybe 2 days off wasn't enough. But then I checked the wall, the rules list, the one I'd practically memorized. The line about camera 15 was gone, scratched out, cleanly, like it had never been there. That night the woods were quiet, too quiet. No rustling, no crickets, just stillness. And when I checked the interior monitor before bed, one of the cameras blinked to life. Camera number 15. The screen showed the trail, empty, then movement. A figure stepped into frame. No face, just pale skin, long limbs, and that same lazy wave. I shut the screen, unplugged everything, and that's when the lights flickered. The next morning, I woke up to find my boots soaking wet, sitting neatly by the door I knew I hadn't opened. My pants were muddy. My jacket had a pine needle tucked inside the collar. Now, I like to sleepwalk as much as the next guy, which is to say, not at all. But the station was locked from the inside, windows shut, no signs of forced entry. It was like someone had borrowed my body, taken it out for a spin, and dropped it back off before sunrise. I brewed the last of my coffee ration and hiked out to camera number 9. The air was cold, still, like everything was stuck holding its breath. The memory card slid out easy. The footage didn't. At first it was the usual stuff, a deer trotting along the trail, then the same deer again, exact same movement, same tree limb bouncing behind it, then the same deer, but reversed, walking backward, 3 times, clear as day. The rule returned like a slap. If any animals pass the same camera 3 times with reversed movement, stay indoors that night. So I did. No hesitation this time. I locked up the station, drew the blinds, unplugged the cameras again for good measure, even taped the light switches down. I tried to sleep, but my heart was playing the drums in my chest. Around 1:15 a.m. I heard it. Not a knock, not a voice. Scraping. Something dragging across the roof, slow, rhythmic, metal on wood. I didn't move. It circled the entire building like it was pacing, testing, then silence. I was almost convinced it was over, until I saw something sitting on my chair. A memory card, burnt edges, melted plastic. The same one I had torched days ago from camera number 6. It was back, sitting there like a house guest returning with forgotten luggage. There was no way I was touching it. But I needed to know. I used tweezers, popped it into the backup laptop I kept powered off under the desk. The video started mid-frame, shaky, dark. A static hiss filled the speakers. Then, me, sleeping. Alone in my bunk, recorded from above, as if the camera was mounted directly above the bed. But there was no camera above the bed. And worse, I could see my mouth twitching, like I was mumbling, maybe dreaming. Then, for a split second, my eyes opened, stared directly at the lens, and smiled. I yanked the battery, tossed the whole laptop into the storage locker, and bolted it shut. I made another log entry. Repeated movement again. Stayed in. Something walked the roof. Memory card came back. Also, apparently I'm filming my own horror movie in my sleep. I don't know what was worse, the video or the part of me that didn't seem surprised anymore. I didn't sleep after that. Just paced the station like a paranoid raccoon, jumping at every creak in the floorboards and every gust of wind. I couldn't take it anymore, waiting to be haunted like a bad prom date. So I made a plan. If the forest wanted a show, I'd give it one. I grabbed an old busted camera casing from the shed, a spare we used for parts, and scratched the number 15 into it with a screwdriver. It looked real enough, even had a fake lens I cobbled together with a bottle cap and some fishing line. Then I set it up on the old path near the base of Firewatch Hill. Somewhere I knew they were watching. I made sure it was obvious, centered, slightly tilted like it had been disturbed. Then I waited. I didn't go far. I had a trail cam of my own aimed right at it from the station window. At 2:58 a.m. the motion alert pinged. I leaned in. There it was. A figure stepping into the frame, not walking exactly, more like gliding. Pale. Long arms that swayed as if underwater. No face, just a smooth surface where one should be. It stopped in front of the fake camera 15 and lifted a hand and waved. Slowly, almost sadly. I leaned closer to the screen, heart thudding so hard it rattled my teeth. Then the figure did something new. It reached forward. Its hand, long spindly fingers like uncooked spaghetti, stretched toward the lens, toward me. And the screen flickered. Not just the trail cam, all of them. All 12 feeds blinked, glitched, went to static. Then they came back. Every feed showed the same thing. 3 a.m. camera online, 3 a.m. camera online, even the ones that hadn't worked in days. Even the backup camera I never installed, all displaying a static timestamp. 3 a.m. Frozen. Then, movement. On every feed, the pale figure turned and stared directly into the camera. My ears rang. I pulled the main cable from the wall, unplugged every feed, shut down the monitors, and still, the screens glowed. I flipped the power switch. Nothing. Killed the solar circuit. Nothing. They stayed on. I grabbed the flare gun and the emergency axe, stepped outside, and aimed toward the fake camera's location. Nothing was there. Just trees, cold wind, and the hum of every screen inside the station, buzzing like a wasp nest in my skull. I ran back in, ready to smash them all. But the screens were blank again. Just black. And on the center monitor 3 words appeared in faint white type. You see us. I stared. Then the power cut. Darkness swallowed the station. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. Just listened. Far off, somewhere in the trees, something cracked, like a branch underfoot. But I was alone, I think. By sunrise, I'd made my decision, collect every last camera and hike out. Forget the job, forget the rules. I didn't care if Rick filed a report or if the park rangers blacklisted me from every forest in the state. Let them. I'd take a desk job at a DMV if it meant never seeing a blinking red recording light again. I packed light and moved fast, following the trail map in reverse, grabbing cameras one by one like I was defusing bombs. Camera number 7, fine. Camera number 3, still recording despite no power. I yanked the battery. It kept going. I left it in the creek. By the time I made it to camera number 12, I was soaked in the sweat and about 1 pine cone away from a nervous breakdown. But I wasn't prepared for what it had recorded. I tapped through the footage almost on autopilot now. Then I stopped. The video showed the trail, empty, quiet. Then a face began to push through the bark of a nearby tree. Not appearing on the bark, through it, skin stretched, wood cracked, eyes opened like seeds sprouting in reverse. I dropped the card and walked away, fast. Next stop was camera number 4. I'd burned the original card, remember? But the new one was waiting for me like a gift someone left out of spite. I slipped it into my reader out of pure habit, And there it was, the most recent recording. The footage showed someone walking out of the woods, alone, calm. It was me. Same clothes, same pack, same patch on the shoulder with the same tiny rip from the thorns last week. Only I wasn't frantic. I was smiling, waving, just like the figure in the earlier footage. I was walking toward the ranger station at base, not this one, the main station, the one I hadn't seen in a week. My hands went numb. I turned around and started moving again, fast and low, like I could outrun whatever version of me was on that tape. That's when a camera fell from the trees in front of me. No wind, no branches above. It just dropped, like it had been tossed down. I picked it up carefully. It was labeled 15, cold, heavier than it looked. I stared at it a long time. The forest around me held its breath again, waiting. But I remembered the rule. Camera 15 doesn't exist. If you find it, don't touch it. Just walk away. Well, I already failed the first half, but I could still do the second. I set it down gently, turned, and walked away. As I moved, I heard a voice behind me, clear, human, and much too close. Good choice. I didn't look back, didn't run either. Whatever it was, I think it was satisfied, or maybe just patient. I made it out of the woods just after noon. I didn't wait to be picked up. I walked the service road until I reached a ranger outpost with a soda machine and a landline. I called Rick, told him I was done. He didn't sound surprised, just said, "Understood, we'll close out your file." My file? No, thanks for your service. No, are you okay? That night I checked into a cheap motel just outside town, the kind of place that smelled like mildew and old cigarettes. But the door locked, the lights worked, and the bed didn't stare at me. So, 5 stars in my book. I took the longest shower of my life, turned on the TV, and tried to drown my brain in late-night nothing. That's when it happened. I was flipping channels, not really watching, just killing time until sleep caught up. And then I saw it. A wildlife documentary, low budget, grainy footage. But I recognized the trail, the trees, the slant of sunlight filtering through the canopy, Pine Reach, my stretch. The narrator was calm, polished. Here in the deep woods of Pine Reach, our ranger in the field has provided us with exclusive trail cam footage showing the natural beauty and mystery of these forgotten paths. I sat up straight. The footage rolled. A black bear staring into the lens, a pale figure waving slowly at 3:03 a.m., a fox moving backward, and then the clincher, a man walking the trail, backpack, park patch, rip on the shoulder, smiling, waving, me. I hadn't submitted that footage. No one should have had it, not unless they pulled it from the cameras after I left. But this documentary aired hours later. That's not possible. And then the narrator said something that chilled me more than anything in that forest ever did. Our ranger in the field is still out there, watching, protecting, recording. I reached for the remote, but the screen went black before I touched it. I stared at the blank glass, heart thudding in my ears. And then I saw it, in the reflection, me. Only I wasn't sitting, I was standing, smiling and waving. I spun around, nothing there, just flickering motel light. When I looked back, the reflection was gone, just me again, or maybe just one of me. I didn't sleep that night, and I haven't since. Sometimes I see trail cam footage posted online from Pine Reach, always the same trees, the same timestamp, 3 a.m. Sometimes there's someone in it, someone with my walk, my patch, my face. If you're ever hiking out that way and you see a ranger with a tired smile and eyes that don't blink, keep walking, don't wave back. And whatever you do, don't look into the trees too long. They're looking back.